Dr. Cutter with the Chainsaw Hospital, and this is part 2 for Sellick, this Stihl 011 AV, and be sure to check out the playlist right up here. I'll put a link to that for you guys so it's easy to find all the videos for this, and also down in the description too, I'll put the parts, however many parts we have for this video too, to be sure to check that out so it's easy to find what's next in the series. So today what we're going to be doing is actually taking off this cover and trying to figure out why the trigger doesn't open the throttle all the way. It does. The throttle works. It's just this trigger, I think the cable in there has stretched or something. So let's get in here a little closer and we'll check that out. So we're going to start with taking off these 3 screws. I might need to take that one out too. I'm not sure. Uh, again, if you've watched part 1, you'll know I'm not super familiar with this particular model, but Stihl is really good about making them kind of consistent, and not really. This one's actually kind of different. It's old enough, I guess. It doesn't have T27s all over it, which is okay. I mean, you could use a standard screwdriver to pretty much take it down. And either way, we'll get this third screw out. We'll pull on it a little bit and see if this, yeah, evidently this one needs to come out too. And I don't know if this is original. All of them might have been that flathead at one point. This one got lost, fell out, and got replaced with this combination head. But nonetheless, let's pull that out of there. Hopefully nothing explodes in here. And it did not explode, so that's good. So there's your throttle return. There's your throttle. I don't really see anything in here that would, well, as an adjustment or anything like that. So I was hoping there would be some type of adjustment or something. Does not look like that's what's going to happen. At least on this side, I'll show you. Get this thing put back together and halfway held in place. When you pull the trigger, push down the trigger interlock here. Push that down. That releases the trigger to be able to be pulled. And you can see that just pulls that cable. But there's a lot of play in there. I wonder if I could, space this out this way a little bit, and then, oh yeah, that might be what I end up doing. Okay. I don't know if you can see that there when I was playing with it, but if I take all the parts out again and totally mess that up, but nonetheless, this is what was going on. So this was, when this is pulled, that's what actually moves your throttle. But if this conduit here was moved out further, you'd get the right amount of movement out of it. See that? So if it was back here, I'd get proper trigger motion. So I think that's what we're going to do. Not sure what we're going to do about it yet, but I think that's what we're going to do. It looks like that was chopped up, moved around, and a couple of the little strands of the cable are broken. All right, I'm going to dig around. I'm going to see if I can come up with a solution to get this spaced back that way a little bit so we get full trigger. So I made a few adjustments here. I put all this back together just the way it came apart. So if you wanted to see how all that went, that's how that goes. So let's put the cover on here and I'll show you what I did with the carburetor side of things. And honestly, it might not be the right repair, the correct repair or change. And if it's not, let me know what you think. It could be something that could be changed maybe in the future. Well, I know it could be changed in the future, and we might end up having to get a new throttle cable for this, and I might go ahead and get one on the way. But I did want to try to get this back together to where I could do some testing on it. And if my repair fails, it's okay. We can always get, well, not always, but we can get new parts for it for sure, or make new parts or something to get, back going again. Might need to get some new AV bushings for it too if we wanted to. All these seem pretty soft. Yeah, I think this was a replacement screw for what they had going on there, but it's back in there nonetheless. So what I did is I just took this brass Z bend and I just put a little bend in it to give it a little bit more pull. So you can see now with the carburetor at idle, it is at idle, and with it at full throttle, it's at full throttle. So it's got full range of motion. And again, I might just look for a replacement carburetor or a replacement throttle cable. But for now, that will work, and it is opening the throttle a little bit. Before it wasn't even opening the throttle with the high idle trigger there, and the trigger interlock is working now. But before it wasn't returning the spring all the way to an idle position, kind of like that, just because everything was kind of in a bind. So it's okay. We got it together. It's working now. It's not the space shuttle. We're not doing anything crazy here. We're just cutting wood. So um, yeah. So either way, we got it working now a whole lot better. So that's great. So what's up next? We're gonna go ahead and pull this bar and chain off and see if we can get that tuned up a little bit. So we'll sharpen the chain. We'll leave this one on here. It's fine. And we'll take this bar off and see if we can get this fixed up. I'm going to go ahead and get this bar off of here so we can start getting the bar and chain fixed up so we can use them. Get that nut out of the way. We can get this side cover off. Pretty dirty in there. Might have to clean that out. That might be why that brake isn't exactly working the way it should. Get this bar off of here. And the chain. Okay. So we're pretty much done with this part here. Except for the air filter and all that, which we'll get that in a little bit. Okay, so we have a clean slate here to work on, slightly. So now that we have the bar off, we can actually inspect it and see how bad these rails are. And I'm just applying, you can see it kind of rocking one way or the other. And you can see, maybe you can see, how far off that actually is. So these rails are way off. This thing would cut crazy crooked. It would probably not do well in the wood, and this one is okay. It's not the best I've seen, but okay. So this is going to need some major uh, reconstructive surgery here. So we'll start with just wiping off this gunk that's all over it. And we could just buy a new bar. That's absolutely true. We could. That would not be a bad thing either, to be honest. At the end of the day, if you decide to keep your old bar, this is what you're going to need to do to kind of get it back in action and back. Instead of spending that money, you could put it somewhere else that might be more useful. You can see right here. This is what happens. Okay, this is perfect. What I was using earlier was a chainsaw curette. And if you're interested in purchasing one, I sell these. I manufacture these and sell these. This is the curette for the 3/8 version. I'll probably have a 325 soon, and maybe a 404, or 404 and maybe a 325 soon. But if you're interested in these, just let me know. I can keep you posted on that. And this is a raker gauge here, and this is to clean out the bar groove. So that would be for this little area right here. And you probably see how much gunk gets built up in there. There you go. So it's just piles and piles of stuff gets shoved down inside of that bar groove. And that's what the curette does. And you can use it again to check to see how far off your rails are from being square. And you can see these are not square because this curette is not riding, you know, completely perpendicular to the side of this rail here. You can also use it to check to see if there's a burr like that right there. And the reason I was saying that is if you look right up here, what happens is the burr will actually come off. You see that shiny spot right there at this point of the sprocket nose? That burr actually just broke off, and it broke off a piece of this bar itself, like the flat part. And that's not what you want, because when that starts happening, see this, it hasn't happened on this side, it's only rolled the burr over. So that's what happens when you don't take care of your bar and they start breaking. So either way, we're going to go through here, and what I'm going to do is scrape out all this junk that was probably on the bottom side, which is why it was full at some point in its life. The top side is what it's, or at least the cleaner side, we'll call it, is actually what's dirty. And the other side, the other part of the curette, is it scrapes off this bar here. But there's so much of a groove right here, it's going to leave a lot. See that groove? You can see the tool just stopping up against it. So that needs to be cleaned up. Just inspecting this, if we are going to reuse it, what all are we going to have to do to it? So, and the little hook here is nice for pushing all that dirt through the other side. And then going back through here one more time and just kind of cleaning it up. And this is something nice, the curette. You can carry it in your pocket with a file and a flat file, and that's, other than a bar wrench, pretty much all you're going to need kicking around in the woods there. You can touch up your chain, you can touch up your rakers, you can clean your bar groove out. And this little hole here is the right size for your file, your round file. I'll go ahead and wipe this down one more time, kind of just removing as much gunk as possible. And the reason for that is we're going to be using the Milwaukee M12 sander polisher, and that has this sanding disc on the end. And these are really nice for knocking all this stuff off. I'll show you real quick here. Let's go ahead and do that. There you go. In just a few seconds there, you can see we've got most of that burr off. There's one right there left. And I'm not taking it beyond just being flat with the bar. I'm just removing it enough to be gone. So what I'm going to do is go through the rest of the bar here and remove the burr that's right there. Once we have all these edges cleaned up like that, looking really nice too, we've got to get this straightened out here. This how far off that is right there. So what we're going to do is we're going to go through here and just beat down this left hand rail with the sander polisher a lot. That's a perfect spot to stop. You can kind of see I've really hit this rail a lot, And I'm not taking off a whole lot of metal, but you can see a couple places where I haven't even touched this right hand rail. And I'm trying to keep the tool completely, vertical there, right up above everything. So I'm going to keep working on this and we'll see how it turns out. All right, so let's check that out now. Let's see if it's gotten any better. This is the side we've been working on. You can see how shiny it is compared to this side here. So that's the side we've been working on, and here we go. We're just going to lay this on here, and it looks like to me we've got some significant progress. We have. It's a little high still, just by kind of feel. Yeah, and I'm eyeballing down just like you guys are here. That it's still a little high over here. It's like that. So I'm gonna keep working on this right hand rail here. We might flip it over this way this time just to get an even grind on it and see if we can get this thing squared up. We have successfully squared up these bar rails. Still a little high. Looks like we've got this area pretty good right in here, but down here at this end, it's still pretty high on this side right here. That got it. Okay. Nice and square all the way down. All right, so let's work on this side a little bit. It looks like we've got the same thing kind of going on, but opposite. We've got this right hand rail now from our view now is is a little high. So that's okay. We're just gonna grind it down like we did the other ones. We got done with the bar, looking good. I'm really happy with that. That turned out nice. I think we can use that. We'll clean up this bar tip too. We'll maybe spray some gunk down in there, some brake parts cleaner, and then we'll go ahead and grease this nose up. But yeah, the bar is good. We need to address the chain now. So what are we going to do with the chain? Are we just going to replace it, put a different one on there? This looks like 3/8 low profile. I have other chains. This is a super duper safety raker chain. You can see the safety rakers all up on there. And I'm really not a super fan of these. These cut really slow, to be honest, just from my experience. So I might put this on the shelf, and I have some other not as safety chains. They might have a little bit of a bump in front of the cutter, but nothing like this. So let's dig around and see what we can find to replace this chain. And if not, we'll go ahead and just sharpen this one up and get it ready to go. I did some quick digging around, and I do not have a 55 driver chain that has less safety rakers and safety bumps and all this stuff like this one has. So this is a 56 driver, and I don't know if you guys remember uh, the chain, the bar looked like it was stretched way out on the machine. So I think it needs a 55 driver instead of 56. I'm going to look into that a little bit more, but if anything, we'll have to uh, punch out and remake a chain, and maybe I'll make a video on how to do that. We can break and mend chain here in the chainsaw hospital too. So yeah, so let's go ahead and we'll put this on the grinder and we'll go ahead and sharpen it up now, because some of these teeth are pretty smashed up. Not terrible, but you can see quite a bit of wear on that cutter tooth right there. But that's okay. See if I can get it in frame for you. There we go. So yeah, it's a little rounded over, and it's just nice to be able to put it in there and get all these cutters straight again. Well, at the proper angle too. So, all right, let's do that, and we'll be back.